Well, we're here again at the 2014 Field Days, and with me is Graham TURLEY. He is the Managing Director for Commercial and Agri for ANZ, and welcome along, Graham.
Yeah, morning. It's great to be here.
Whereabouts are you based, Graham?
I'm based in Auckland, in Albert Street, and I'm lucky I live in the lovely suburb of Devonport. That's good.
Yeah. Now, you've been with ANZ for a while?
I've been at ANZ for nearly 10 years now.
10?
Yeah. Looking after the agri portfolio for about 3.5.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Now, you guys have had the barbecue going over there, and can you tell us a bit about that? You've had a bit of a panel session, is that right?
Yeah, we sort of try and sort of do something a little bit innovative every year, sort of try and be like our farmers. And so what we've got over there this year, just before lunchtime, 11:15, is a barbecue involving neat meats, and some of the guys from Mark Brown from PGW on the seed side, and James Parsons from Beef and Lamb. What it's really about is, trying to link this, the product being the meat and a bit of steak, which goes on the plate in the restaurant, back into the pasture. And so what we're doing is we're talking about, the things that go into building a quality piece of meat, great quality pasture. So you have a happy cow, and the cow creates a nice piece of meat, and then working through the processes that we do that, and having Simon from Neat Meats talking about, how does he select the meat, how does he go about that, and what sort of issues does he have around that, considering we're a seasonal producer. And so it's really, really good. So it's about trying to bring together the whole supply chain, and I guess bring to the forefront for farmers that, when they're producing something on farm, actually maybe they've got to sort of think a little bit more about, hey, what is happening with that meat, and think about it in its end state as well, and maybe get a little bit more care for it. And then they understand food safety, they understand the supply chain a little wee bit more, and so that's the purpose of it. So it's going pretty well so far. And,
so you did it yesterday, first up?
First up yesterday, yeah. And and yesterday was a bit tough as well. The weather was pretty atrocious very first thing in the morning, and so the numbers were a little bit lighter. But it went pretty well, and we had good feedback from the people who were there. They loved the meat when they tried it, and that was the number one thing. It would be terrible if they didn't like the meat. And
a good day for a bit of nice hot meat, wouldn't it?
Yeah, no, it was beautiful, and I think it went pretty well, and some really good interest from our customers. Yeah.
Now, you've had some visitors from Australia. Can you tell us a bit about these guys?
Yeah, some of our colleagues and counterparts from our rural business in Australia are over here, and they've been here for the week actually. Been on visiting a few farms around the Waikato, looking at the milking systems, and looking at what we're doing on the environmental side as well. And now they're just wandering around the field days. They've been extremely impressed. Clearly our farming system's a little bit different. We're fortunate that, like we all know, that we've got a nice rainfall, probably too much just the last 2 days. Yeah, exactly. If they were here a few months ago, they would have thought they were back in Australia. It was pretty dry. But no, so they're looking at the innovations that we do in the technology. And
have they ever invented anything, Australians?
Oh, probably not. The Pavlova, which they copied off us.
Right.
The Farlet, which they pinched off us as well. So it's pretty hard to think of something, isn't it? But
This goes on.
I have to be careful they pay me, but no, but they've had a good trip over here. It's been good for us to showcase our farming systems, the technology at the field days, and that's good.
Now, getting into farm ownership, big priority for you guys here.
Yeah, I think 18 months ago we released a document called Greener Pastures, and that document really went through a number of things. But the first thing what it was centred around was the macro view about the future opportunity for agriculture, which we all talk about this sort of $50 billion opportunity over the next 20 years, driven by the changing macro demographics around the world, and population growing to 9 billion. But not only that, billions of people sort of moving off the poverty line, so therefore moving away from carbohydrate-based diet to more protein, which creates a huge opportunity for New Zealand agriculture, right? As we talk about now. Backing off that, you then say, well, then how do we achieve that, and what do we need? We need strong supply chains, which we have in some places, through like Zespri and Fonterra. We need good food safety. We need skill base, which is an issue which now people are identifying and looking for ways of addressing that. How do we get skilled people into the industry? And the environmental and sustainability, but also we're going to need capital. We're going to need capital for two things going forward. Firstly is to replace capital that's currently in the system as people retire or pass on in succession, and also capital for investment, so that we can actually take opportunity. And it's capital on farm, and capital in innovation and technology, and it's also in processing and marketing and things like that. So it's a big issue going forward, and I think we're starting to see now a number of different things happening. We're starting to see different ownership models. We've got some very big farming enterprises out there now. So some of them are owned by funds, international funds, New Zealand super funds. Then you've got some by big families and some by small groups of shareholders. And none are listed yet, but that may happen soon. My farm are doing different bits and pieces. And then clearly you have the small mum and dad or family farm, the smaller ones now. And so there's different ways of getting in there. There's the equity partnerships, so where people come in, and that's a great way for a farm manager.
Do you think people know enough about that? Do you think some of these young people that want to get into a farm, do you think they know enough about how they can get into equity?
I think it's it's hard for them. We're doing our best. We've got a team of people around the country that specialise in equity partnerships, and we have a farm startup package for the very early guys who try and that gets them into the off the first rung of the ladder sort of thing, into share milking or contract milking or whatever. And so we've got about 500 young farmers have taken that up over the last 18 months, which is good. So there is an education process as well. But there's also, as we have to attract capital, we have to attract it from other parts as well. So, that over time, some of these investors, we have to understand what they're looking for. In the past, it's been a very capital gain orientated, low cash flow business. As these businesses get bigger and they start to look more like businesses, some of the investors, as they need the capital, will come in and want slightly different return. They may want a bit of cash flow. Happy to trade off a bit of C&A. So that'll change capital structures. So we're going to have to adjust different things for different investment pools as we go forward. For the guy that wants to come in and buy the farm and develop his own thing, equity partnership. And there's, the good thing, there's still a lot of demand for people to go into equity partnerships, and there's the capital there, which is good, and all these other things as well. But it's a big issue going forward. One, for succession, as I said. Two, for new investment. And then, clearly, making sure we've got the right sort of mechanisms and tools to help the youngest and the brightest guys who want to get in there and get ownership going forward. It's like any other industry, really, but it's an important thing. It's an issue facing the industry.
It must be an inviting thing, though, for someone that wants to pump a bit of money into something, to someone who's so keen and got the skills and that really wants to give it everything into a farm for an equity partnership.
Well, absolutely, and I think there's a win-win for everybody. It's like somebody can go and help a young guy or girl into something. But not only that, it gives them a chance for them to work with somebody who's top-notch, very good, very, very sophisticated, a very good farming business person, and gives them exposure to a fantastic industry with a really bright future. So it's got to be a win-win-win. And so there's a lot of investors out there that would like to invest in the industry, but they don't know how to get into it. And the mechanisms are slow, because generally it's very privately owned by farms, can't buy anything on the stock exchange. So unless you've got a lot of money, it's hard to get in there. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for attracting capital, ownership going forward.
You've got some other loans there for, lots of regrassing, and can you explain a bit about those couple of loans you've got there?
Yeah, I guess where we're there is we're also involved in a lot of our focus is thought leadership, but a lot of it's about educating farmers around business planning, and the business of farming, really, rather than being a farmer, being a businessman in the business of farming, because they're running factories, these things, really, if you really want to think about it. And it's about sort of educating about good strategic planning, having your vision, your goals. They don't have to be complex, and thinking ahead about what your capital requirements, what your capex requirements will be, what your future cash flow will be. How do you manage OSH? How do you manage all these other things coming through, the environment, sustainability? And so we work with the Red Meat Partnership. We're a member of that thing on the red meat sector. We work with ANZ. And so part of this as well is to say, well, how do we encourage farmers to invest in these things? So we've got a what we call an environmental loan, which is borrowing up to $100,000 at a reduced rate, and that's to encourage farmers to invest in the environment and new effluent ponds, upgrading, meeting the new standards. New duck ponds, new standoff pads or feed pads or whatever. We have the pasture development loans or renewal loans, sort of targeted a lot at the red meat sector, but that's really about improving pastures, pastures that are more tolerant for drier periods, plus pastures that fatten the lambs better and faster, and so it just creates greater productivity in the farm, so hopefully more profitability, and that's more sustainability of the business. And then our view is, if we can get more sustainable farmers and we get the next 30% up to the same standard of the top 20% who do very, very well, we're a much stronger industry. then we'll have better confidence in them making longer term decisions up the supply chain, so it will be a win-win-win. And so it's about benchmarking, so that's that one there. The development loan is about encouraging farmers to invest in new technology, to move forward, to make sure their farm is sustainable for future. And so it's all about sustainability, increasing productivity and profitability. So, you know, we've got a really strong agricultural sector at the base. And if we've got a really strong base, it's like a really good house. If the, you know, it's easy to build the top if it's all flat and square and strong. And that's what we need. And it's about helping the farmers come through. So what you'll see, most of what we do is around that sort of focus.
Now, Graham, congratulations on winning the best agri bank again this year too.
Yeah, no, it's great. You know, we're pretty proud of that third year. So we're out going for the fourth time, but yeah, CANSTAR Agri-business Bank of the Year, which is great achievement, and it's a reflection really of the team across the country. You know, we've got the biggest team of agri managers across the country, or agri experts. But it's also a reflection of what we've been doing and how we're trying to help the industry become a stronger, an industry, really, you know, as I mentioned just before, about being more sustainable. You know, so it's about what we're doing with the Red Meat Partnership. You know, doing it in there about our development loans, our farm startup packages, environmental loans, all those sort of things. Supporting Fieldays, you know, supporting the Agri Women's Development Trust, you know, which is a great thing about getting women in and creating leadership and things, you know, supporting the dairy business and things like that. So it's a great reflection on that, and you know, it sets us up well, and it gives our team a lot of confidence. You know, we've just gone through, you know, the Gypsy Day period, and the team across the country are all pretty happy with, you know, what the outcome of that's been, which is good. And yeah, it's sort of you know, we're going to build on that over the next year. It's about building long relationships. It's about our guys understanding the business needs of our farmers and actually, from a financial perspective, delivering into it. You know, we're not going to try and give them farming advice, but we can actually help them with their debt capital, with their transactional banking arrangements, you know, and help them work in partnership to grow their businesses, and that's what we're all about.
Well, they do what they do well, and then it's farming.
Yeah, they do farming really, really well, and it's our role to help them do some of the business side a little bit better. You know, a lot of farmers go farming because they don't want to do the planning and everything else, but as we all know in every world, if you want to be a good rugby player or whatever it is, if you don't do the fitness, if you don't do the planning, you know, nothing really much comes out the other end. So
must be why I'm so bad at rugby.
Yeah, if they can do a little bit more of that up front, you know, the exponential gains on the profit side at the end is awesome. And the good thing about that is that means they can grow, and not only that, they can also have a lot of fun. And you know, there's no point working hard and not having fun. That's my view. So
Now, what about your focus for the next 12 months between now and the next Fieldays?
Yep, ANZ. So you know, we'll continue on. You know, clearly we've got the Red Meat Partnership. We'll be continuing our current theme about sort of getting in and helping customers grow. You know, we're absolutely committed to the sector. You know, we want to grow our position in the sector, and we'll do that. You know, we'll be, you know, have a focus on continuing to help build and develop our relationship managers and our staff to another level, so that they can actually be even better equipped to things. We, you know, we'll introduce a bit of technology for them, so they'll be a bit more mobile. So you'll see them out there with iPads and a few other things. So so we'll continue to invest in the business, invest in a way that hopefully we can help our customers succeed to even a higher level than they are, and help take agribusiness, which, as we've, you know, everybody's starting to realise now, is 50% of New Zealand's GDP comes from agribusiness, right? So it's a great place to be. If we can help them be more successful, we're all going to be more successful, and you'll have more people watching this TV show, which will be great too. So so it's good. So we're excited about 2014-15.
Well, thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.